Alrighty, I just hit record. We can go ahead and get going. And as folks join a little late, we can just admit them in. But welcome everybody to the employer panel on careers in service, education, and human public services. We're really excited to have a great group of panelists here to talk to all of you and share about their organization, their industry, their own career, and maybe share some insight. And we really encourage you all to participate. But I want to first thank our amazing student moderator, Natalie, who will be leading us in this conversation today. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Natalie.
Hello, everyone. So like Margaret said, my name is Natalie Spolsky. I am a senior here at North Central. I'm majoring in business management with minors in leadership and writing. And currently I'm super excited to hear what these panelists have to say because I'm really interested in corporate social responsibility. I'm actually writing my senior thesis on that, and I'd love to go into that someday as a career. So I'm so excited to hear what everyone has to say. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Thank you for all the panelists today. We have a lot of really great folks representing some amazing organizations. So I'd first like to start off with each panelist introducing themselves as well as their organization and their industry. So let's start with Elizabeth from AmeriCorps, and feel free to jump in and share in any order.
Thanks, Natalie. Hi, everybody. My name is Elizabeth Okrasik. As Natalie said, I'm an AmeriCorps member, but I'm actually working at Giving DuPage. So what AmeriCorps is a national service program, and I am doing my service at Giving DuPage here in DuPage County. And it's a year-long service. So I started back last August, and I will be continuing on through this August, 365 days. And what I'm doing is a very specific project that I am trying to unite higher education throughout DuPage County and bring student leaders together and faculty and staff to really create unified service throughout all the different higher education institutions. Personal background, I have a bachelor's degree from Illinois State University in Human and Educational Services, and graduated with my master's in May in Disability Studies and pursued this year of service opportunity following that. Thanks, I'm excited to be here.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be with you this afternoon. My name is Ana Gonzalez. I am Director of Community Affairs for School District 129, which is in neighboring Aurora. And I am a North Central Cardinal through and through, class of 2000. Shortly after that, I started teaching biology at West Aurora High School. Then went into the role of science curriculum coordinator, and I helped both the middle school and high school teachers align to the new next generation science standards. At least they were new at that time. But I really love the community partnerships that I formed in that role with local science entities as we tried to develop the curriculum. So that really paved the way for me to go to this role as Director of Community Affairs, where I really am responsible for a comprehensive community outreach program that includes social media, the website, all written communications and video communications that go out. So it has been a crazy year for school PR, but I do love my job and I'm really happy to be here today.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dawn Yarbrough, and I'm from Northern Illinois Food Bank. I'm the HR generalist here. We are a nonprofit organization with the goal of solving hunger in the 13-county northern area. We partner with AmeriCorps, so I want to shout out to AmeriCorps. We so appreciate everyone that comes on board with us. You know, this last year has been pretty crazy in a pandemic, and trying to make sure that we're meeting all the food needs in our community, and also sad as we see that any one of us, you know, can be pretty close to needing support ourselves. So it's been eye-opening this past year, and we also are switching to a model of neighbor focus. So really wanting to hear from our neighbors about specific needs that they have, instead of us, you know, just trying to guess or just provide food. So it'll be a really interesting time in the next couple of years as we switch to that model. as well as, focusing on the dignity, equity, and more convenience for people to get those needs met. Happy to be on. Thanks for having me.
Hey everybody, my name is Dalen. I am with City of Chicago, and we are also a partner with AmeriCorps under that big umbrella. And I am a recruitment and partnerships manager. And so our focus is to provide education equity into under-resourced communities, specifically here in Chicago. So we do a lot of work on the south and west sides here in Chicago with the Chicago Public Schools with students in 3rd through 9th grades. A little bit of background about me. I'm native of Chicago, born and raised, love North Central. I get out to the campus as much as I could before the pandemic for recruitment fairs. So you might have seen me in the red jacket, hanging out, passing out flyers. So really excited to kind of be here and share a lot more about City Year.
Hi, I'm Nick Konizak, and I am a talent acquisition specialist with Open Sky Education. Essentially, my organization is a non-for-profit organization based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And we support a number of charter schools that are actually located in the greater Milwaukee area, in like Racine, Wisconsin, as well as like St. Louis, Missouri, and Phoenix, Arizona. And a lot of what I'm focused on doing on a daily basis in my role is really helping to help teachers and actually other members in like the education world find jobs in our schools. Essentially, our goal is always centered around this mission that we have of what we usually call like the 3 C's of community, college, and character. So we're really dedicated to helping our students like learning about like how to make good decisions both inside the classroom and outside of it. I am currently enrolled in my master's program at Marquette University in human resources management, and I am looking forward to graduating December of this year. So I'm going to be finishing that up pretty shortly.
Wonderful. Thank you all for those amazing introductions. I have a list of prepared questions, but I really want to encourage everyone in the audience to also participate. Feel free to pop any thoughts or questions that you have in the chat, and I can relay those to our panelists. But to start us off, since we've got students here today exploring career paths in service and education, human and social services, could you share a little more about your organization and the types of careers that folks pursue there? If we want to start off with AmeriCorps again.
Yeah, sure. So pretty broadly with AmeriCorps, it is, like I said, national volunteer programs. So you get a lot of different people who, from a lot of different backgrounds, who do a lot of different things. Like I said, I have a master's in disability studies. My field is kind of, disability, but I'm working with higher education in DuPage County. I know a couple people who have kind of those community and communications degrees or pursuing those degrees, and they work in various different programs. There's some people with marketing backgrounds. And so it's very personal to the individual, and what AmeriCorps kind of is great for is giving you experience. And so one of the things I am very grateful for in my service is just the amazing opportunities I've had to learn and grow skills that I have not had a chance to, kind of do with this transition from schooling into full-time employment, especially with the pandemic kind of going on. It was a really great opportunity for me there. But in terms of careers, it's really about those skills that you build in AmeriCorps and how you use them and how you want to use them to pursue whatever career you desire.
Yeah, I think I would definitely add to that, being that City Year falls under the AmeriCorps umbrella, that there's a lot of different people from all different walks of life that take the step to join AmeriCorps. I think what makes City Year unique is that we're focused in education. So a lot of our applicants or AmeriCorps members have passion for social work or their community or specifically education. So we do see a lot of our alumni kind of go into those careers. But specifically, our position is a full-time near-peer mentor kind of tutoring position, to where you would actually be in a classroom alongside a teacher, helping students learn and just helping them get their social emotional skills developed, while also developing yourself professionally, figuring out what your next step is. So I think that's what makes City Year pretty unique, but kind of piggybacking off what Elizabeth said, it's totally kind of what you want to do. We have a lot of resources here that can kind of help you go there, if you're just kind of willing to give that year of service.
Yeah, and if I could piggyback off of actually like the City Year conversation and with AmeriCorps as well, at Open Sky Education, when it comes to like the opportunities we're looking for, also definitely education focused. We definitely like being able to recruit specifically teachers and education majors, ideally that are interested in working in urban education. One of the things I always like to kind of talk about is the resources we have when it comes to professional development. So I always, and it doesn't even matter if you end up joining my organization or if you end up joining one of the other great organizations that's here today. I think anytime that you can find an organization that's going to help you grow professionally and find a way to hone in on those skills, kind of reiterating what Dalen said from City Years, that's something that's really going to help you in the workforce and it really help you in your next opportunity. But I guess just in regards to my organization, we're really interested in like education majors and then also people interested in like the operations side of things. So kind of learning how like schools work and how, maybe to work on that side of things. So.
Okay, and as for West Aurora School District 129, we're a public school district serving roughly over 12,000 students. We have a staff of 1,700 employees, and we start almost at birth with some programs such as Parents as Teachers, where teachers actually go to homes and offer some kind of support for families who are about to have maybe a child, as well as all the way up through past graduation, where we have some transition programs where we're helping students with special needs prepare them for the workforce. As far as why West Aurora, why you should consider West Aurora, there's several reasons why I love this school district. The first one are the opportunities for students that we have, just our AP course offerings, our club offerings, our athletics as well. And that really transfers to the support of our staff. We have mentoring programs for new teachers that go 2 years. We have a micro-credentialing program where teachers can actually earn move on the salary scale just by taking our own internal courses instead of having to take those at other colleges or universities. And also, I think another one of the things I love about West Aurora is our diversity. I really feel that and that's both students and our staff, I really feel it's a great place to work and it prepares students for the real world.
At Northern Illinois Food Bank, we have many different departments. So just to list a few: philanthropy, special events, volunteer services, HR, IT, finance, marketing, communications, advocacy, programs, operations, and more. So I encourage everyone, one of my main roles is recruiting at the food bank. So there's our website. I always encourage everyone, I'm always recruiting. So we have a lot of moving and grooving at all times. And I encourage everyone to go to our website and look, for any open positions. I'm more than happy to talk with you about any specifics. And we're always promoting from within. We've hired a number of AmeriCorps Vistas, and myself, I started off in the child nutrition program, moved into a senior position, and then moved over into HR. So we try to provide trainings for our employees, as well as support their growth.
Wonderful. Those are all some amazing things about all of your organizations. And I know maybe some of you kind of touched on this, but if anyone has any other thoughts or anything they really want to highlight about, what do you think makes your organization unique within your industry?
I guess I think one thing that I like to always talk about is just in general about my organization is that since we do support schools in 3 different regions, we're actually very flexible when it comes to what we're willing to consider people for. Another thing too that's nice is that since we support schools in Milwaukee, the rules for education majors and people coming out of school is actually a little bit different. So if you're somebody who maybe hasn't received their teaching certification yet, or maybe that's something like you're working on, one of the things that's nice about our schools is that we do not require for the initial 2 years that you're employed with us that you actually have a teaching certification. We do obviously heavily prefer like if you have like a background in education or educational studies, but you do not need like a state of Wisconsin teaching certification. But if you're in like the process for that, that's terrific. We definitely love to see that, obviously. And then in addition to that, the other thing I always like to talk about is just like our mission in general. We do serve some Christian schools in the Milwaukee area. So a lot of times, like if there are people who are interested in like going into faith-based education as well, we do support schools like that. So, that's one of the things I think that stands out about Open Sky in general is that, we're versatile in terms of what you might be looking for from an educational standpoint.
Yeah, I think
I'll
for
add-
city, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'll add that one of the things that I appreciate the most about the food bank is that I get to meet people from all different walks of life. So with so many different partnerships, food pantries, soup kitchens, meeting people in the community, but there's many people that I get to meet, and I love that opportunity. And then I think the other thing is our focus on, helping to support people thriving. So it's not just about surviving, it's about really going above and beyond that, to support people in their growth and moving forward in life.
I'm so sorry about that, but it kind of makes it feel real, right? Because sometimes in person you might talk over somebody with the mic. I think for City Year, definitely what makes us unique is the diversity. We have people again from all walks of life, from all different careers, at all different points in their life between the ages of 17 and 25. So that perspective is really helpful. And when you're trying to like solve different problems and trying to figure out how to work together. But I also would think too, just our support and being able to help you get to the next level. We offer really great scholarships, really great alumni resources. And again, it's for all different industries. So I think that's probably what makes us really unique.
In addition to some of the things I mentioned before, I think West Aurora School District, because of its size, we're able to diversify in many areas. So if you are a prospective educator and you have a passion for a certain discipline or a passion for a certain course, or maybe a certain club that you want to start at a school, we have many pathways to support you in proposing that and hosting that. We have over 60 clubs at West Aurora High School, you name it, and we probably have a club for that. One example might be, we just had a teacher who prepared students for an international science fair held by the National Junior College of Singapore. And they weren't able to go there in person, but they were able to participate virtually recently. And so if you're an educator that has a passion, because we're so big, we can support many different aspects of a child's education.
So for AmeriCorps, there's 2 things that I really like about it. And I am specifically part of a Campus Compact VISTA program under AmeriCorps. And so that's basically means that I'm kind of helping fight poverty in the community is what the VISTA program is all about. And so I can speak very specifically to the group that I am with is that with Campus Compact, the VISTA program, they do focus on professional development. It's understood with AmeriCorps and this VISTA program that, this is a year of service and that you need to move on to full-time employment. And they are trying to help you, give back to your community, but then also set you up for success in the future. And so professional development is part of the AmeriCorps service. And then also the core. So AmeriCorps, right? You have this ginormous group of people to connect with. And so I have my specific AmeriCorps or Campus Compact Vista Corps that I am with, that is Midwest and I believe Northeast, we have a huge group of people that I am able to connect with, especially in this virtual world, that do all different kinds of things. And so it's really that professional development, not only professionally, but personally as well. You get kind of those experiences meeting new people in different fields. And it helps also set you up for that success moving forward is, you have all those connections. You've been able to explore different fields, talk to different people and get involved in different ways.
That all sounds so amazing. Thank you so much for all those wonderfully worded answers. Kind of going into off of that, for students considering these industries, could you share some skills or qualifications that are important for them to obtain while they're here at North Central?
I think for City Year, I think working in education in general, your time management is extremely important, and your ability to be flexible. I think working in education, no 2 days are ever the same, and you never know what you're kind of get, what you might get. So being able to kind of operate on the fly, but also be organized, and being able to adhere to like time sensitive issues, I think is really important. But I think more than anything, it would have to be your passion for the work and your ability to build relationships. I think that's totally where it starts with us at City Year, and that's also where it ends. The relationship is first and foremost, and it's always the most important thing.
I would say that for the food bank, what I've seen all managers look for is empathy for your fellow human being. And then from there, it kind of goes into particular skills for each career path. So, I'll say again that I'd be more than happy to talk with any of you about specific skills, but empathy is a big one.
And I can kind of reflect on my time at North Central and what I feel prepared me the most for my career in education. And I think, of course, having a solid foundation in the content that you teach is important. But what I love was that liberal arts foundation that I received, because although my degree was in biology, I had a lot of English classes and writing classes, and now that serves me very well in my current role of doing all the communications. I feel like if I wouldn't have had that foundation, I maybe wouldn't be where I am today. So I'm very appreciative of that liberal arts foundation. I think, education has seen a lot of changes in the last year. So being resilient in the face of adversity, being willing to try new things as an educator is really important. So for me, as I would give advice to someone who might be at North Central, I learned a lot of resiliency, I think, through athletics at North Central College. And not that that is the only avenue to learn some of those soft skills. It is one way. I'm sure many others can do that through fine arts, but I think one of the things I would say is to be involved in your school.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, to go off of that too, that was actually what I was probably going to say as well is, one of the things I think that best prepared me for my career was being involved in any kind of extracurricular activity or kind of club or service group on your campus. And it isn't even just for, something that nice that you could put on your resume, which is, I think when I was an undergrad, is something that I just assumed was like, oh, I need to do this because I need something to put on my resume. I need to be more attractive to employers. But really, I think the most valuable part about it is the connections that you make. I ended up meeting somebody in one of my service organizations that basically led me to my first job out of college. So it's not even just about like, oh, this is something that's going to look good for employers. This is something that's going to make me marketable. Those things are true, but definitely creating connections with the right people. That's what's really going to lead you to a successful career. And it just kind of leads into a string of different relationships that you're going to build throughout that. So get involved, absolutely what Anna said, get involved with your school and create connections with those people that are like-minded like you, because you're going to end up doing something that you love because they love it.
Yeah, it's definitely hard for me to think about what kind of specific skills for AmeriCorps, or how ways to get involved to prepare, because it really is that unique experience and it's dependent on the project that you get connected with. But one thing that really stands out is definitely that desire to give back and to think creatively so that you can solve these problems that you are set to solve. And so just like finding those experiences to help prepare you to understand the importance of community and why giving back is important. Like Dalen said, that flexibility as well, because things do change. With AmeriCorps, it's a lot of that nonprofit field. And so you do need to be flexible for whatever comes at you, whether it's working with volunteers or like I'm creating a council, just trying to be flexible and be prepared for whatever kind of throws at you, and knowing that what you're doing is building towards what you're hoping to do in the future.
Yeah, that was all wonderful. Thank you so much. So kind of with all of those skills in mind, what are some types of experiences that students can take on to prepare themselves for the types of roles that you see in your industry?
I guess
So-
just like, oh, go on. No, go on.
I would say leadership and volunteerism, I think, is a really big one, because that's what a lot of AmeriCorps is that leadership experience while giving back. So if there's any service organizations you can get involved in, just volunteering in the community, but also volunteering to that extent where you can start taking some ownership in what you're doing and creating that bigger change, not just maybe going to the soup kitchen, but starting to help them organize the soup kitchen event. So really that leadership, I think, is what helps you stand out in the long run.
Yeah, and to go off of that too, I think that it definitely is about like service opportunities and opportunities to lead. I think it will really give employers a sense of how well you manage your time as well, and what you do with the time that you're given. I mean, as undergrads or students, you, especially during a pandemic, you probably have like a lot of different commitments and there's a lot of stress involved in your day. But I think what it will show, especially now, is that, if you're able to still be involved in some of those activities, like just the resilience that you have, and the ability to manage your time. So I would definitely echo what Elizabeth said, is, just making sure that you find those leadership opportunities and the service opportunities that kind of be involved with like the community, because it will really show like your dedication, your devotion to spending time helping others. So.
And I would say ditto, ditto. Some of those experiences are built into your programs there at North Central College with observational hours and student teaching hours, but any other opportunities that students can have to maybe help with Vacation Bible School over the summer, or work with students in a coaching way if you're athletically inclined, or through the fine arts. Any of those opportunities would help build your skill set in working with students.
Definitely would just echo all of that. I think the only thing that I would add to is taking that initiative to want to impact change. I think for City Year, we're big on just social justice and education equity. So if there's things that you notice around your campus that you're not happy with, if you take the steps to kind of change those, or get involved to change those, that's been said already, I think that stands out definitely.
Yeah, just to support my fellow panelists, volunteering, we get very excited when we see that on resumes. And, I would add that listening and talking to community members is a big one as well. And then also being aware of what's happening in the advocacy needs for hunger. That's a huge one as well. I would say those things are probably the top.
That's awesome. Thank you all so much. Um, so going into our next question, what do you enjoy about the industry that you work in, or how did you choose to work in this industry?
I love telling this story. So my first job out of college was working with City Year as an AmeriCorps member. And it's funny because I never had any intention to work with youth. I thought that it would be like the last thing that I ever did. And mainly because I was one of the students that I work with at City Year. I was one of those students that got distracted. I was a pretty good student, but I just was one that needed some support. And so I knew how I acted in class, and there were times where there was no way I could ever be a teacher or work with youth. But what I really loved about City Year was that I saw myself in the students that I work with every day. Literally, my first job was working with City Year, and at the school that I worked at, it was 10 minutes from my house. So literally just that proximity in my community, seeing the same students that grew up in the same type of environment that I did, and seeing that immediate impact throughout the year. On top of that, it also just let me realize so much about myself and develop in areas that I wasn't even aware of in places. And still to this day, I'm still learning how to interact and connect with people from all different backgrounds, how I can be a support system to people that need it most. And again, I'm just learning every day, and how City Year just completely changed my trajectory in life of what I thought I was going to do, but found my purpose. That's really what I love.
So I'm definitely one of those people also who's been on a whirlwind of career paths. I graduated with my bachelor's not knowing what I wanted to do, because I had changed majors kind of late in the game. Um, and so I ended up pursuing a master's degree because I think I kind of figured out where I wanted to be. And then the pandemic hit. And so it was a little bit difficult to kind of find full-time employment where I was looking to be. And AmeriCorps opened up a fantastic opportunity for me to be able to learn skills and work and meet people and learn how to build relationships. That's so invaluable, that I can use that in any field that I go into. I kind of have a set idea. I know I want to be in the disability field following my service. And I would like to get into higher education, which is why I found this specific project working with higher education in DuPage County. But it has been a really great opportunity for me to also explore and use, those skills and relationships to kind of help figure out where I'm headed as well. Since it is that year of service, it's almost like a gap year, from school to full-time work. So it's a really great opportunity for people who need to kind of do that exploratory as well.
I'll go ahead and share next. I think I was that little kid that probably lined up all my stuffed animals and played school since I was an elementary kid. And I really wanted to coach as well. I had a love for basketball. And so that got me into the field of education. I love science because it's so hands-on, and it was just a discipline that really connected with me. And why West Aurora is actually, I'm a graduate of the high school that I now, or the district that I now work for. And so for me, it was also about giving back to the community that gave me so much and prepared me for life after school. So it's really rewarding work, and I love it.
Yeah, I love being able to work with a group of people who care about others. That really gives me a sense of hope in this world today, just being around so many others. And then, I always say I love laying my head down at night, knowing that I tried that day to support, and going, heart first into the problems that we face, and trying to find solutions every day. So it's awe-inspiring to work with so many different types of people who care on a daily basis. And that was the most important thing for me.
Yeah, I think that going into my field of, well, I mean, going into like the field of education, becoming a recruiter for education, um, I think where I kind of came from, I came from a larger organization when I was out of college. And actually, even in like maybe some of like my summer jobs, I could even say I worked for some larger organizations. I actually had a chance to work for like Harley Davidson, and I had worked for like Manpower Group. And, a lot of times coming out of school, like, I kind of thought like, hey, the bigger the organization, like that's where you want to be. You want to work for a big company, and you want to get your foot in the door at these huge corporations. What I found was, at least being in like the human resources side of things, was I didn't get a chance always to see the impact that I had on my community or the people that I worked with. So I felt really frustrated because it's like, yeah, it's, I do a lot and I keep getting told like, oh, you're doing good work and you're helping people, but it's kind of hard to see that when you're recruiting people who might be taking jobs on the other side of the country and you will literally never meet them. So I ended up going into education and working for the organization that I do now because I wanted to see more of an immediate impact on the work that I was doing. And not only that, just being able to create connections and have more of a, they create more connections with like the people that I work with. So I guess if there's anything that kind of inspired me to go into the field that I did, it's I really liked seeing the impact that I had on people. And, anytime that you can do that and actually see the impact of your work, no matter what kind of field you're in, I think that it's always a positive thing. You'll end up learning a lot about yourself in terms of what you're looking for in your career.
That's also awesome. Thank you so much. And we did have someone sent me a question in the chat. Is there anything that you wish someone had told you going in, or did you encounter something that you didn't feel prepared for in your position?
I would probably have to say there was a lot that I was not prepared for. I kind of thought I was, and then going into it, it was a huge learning experience. But that's not to say that it was impossible or things that I didn't, couldn't do, but more just that I needed to take that initiative. You have to put your foot in the door, believe that you can do it, even if it is a challenge or something unexpected. I think with AmeriCorps, that can be definitely something that comes up a lot because it is, that service to community, and helping fight poverty for what I'm doing. So it is a lot of those many skills that combine into one that I may not have been prepared for, but it is that learning journey that you're just going to get better at.
Yeah, I would agree, Elizabeth. That's what came up for me as well, that, as much as we're getting a lot of different best practices and trying to give advice, I think an openness to learning is probably the number one thing that I've learned that would be useful in any of these positions.
I have to echo that same sentiment. I don't know if there's anything that I would necessarily tell my younger self that would prepare me or equip me in some certain specialty way for what I was about to experience. I might give myself a little bit of encouragement and say, hold on, it's going to be a wild ride. Just be ready to roll with the punches.
If I had to tell myself anything in undergrad when I was looking for work, it is that opportunities come in all sorts of fashions and different ways. I think there a lot of times too, there's a lot of pressure to like get an internship and to like get specific things, like to build up your resume too. But I think there's a lot of different ways in which people can get connected. In fact, like I had a friend who actually, he was somebody, he never got an internship in college, and he never like worked for, and like got these great opportunities to like work for big companies and stuff. And he ended up getting a job through somebody he met playing like intramural basketball. And it's just like some of these things that you do, if I had to tell myself anything, it's you never know where the connections can come from. And then, like for instance, too, I ended up getting someone a job, and I met him at a concert, and I ended up just kicking it off with him, and he ended up being one of my coworkers, and I had never met him before in my life before that event. So if I had to tell myself anything when I was younger, it'd be that every opportunity or any day is an opportunity for you to create a new connection that could help you in the future, and never say no to it. If it's somebody you like and it's somebody that you kick it off with, why not create like a network with that? So that's something that I would recommend.
And I just want to echo all of that. I mean, definitely what Anna said, will give myself some more encouragement when I was younger. Like Dawn said, an openness to learning. And like Nicholas said, definitely just knowing opportunities can come from anywhere. But I think I piggyback a lot with Elizabeth, just us having that AmeriCorps similarity of just, I think I thought I was prepared for a lot, and I was trained adequately for sure. But there's just some things that I heard in my first year or this year in this position that there's no way that you could ever really be prepared for. And again, I think that's just across all of these fields where you're in a service industry, because you're providing a service, and people need it. So some of the things that I've heard, there was just no way that I could be prepared for it or know that that's what was going to come. So just saying, having that encouragement, but also knowing that I'm going to do something that matters, and like, just kind of knowing that in the back of your mind that you're doing something that matters, and yeah, just picking myself up before I fall.
Yeah, that is so wonderful. Thank you so much for all that amazing advice that you gave. We are getting down to our last few minutes, so I just want to say thank you again to everyone for joining us. And does anyone on the panel have any final thoughts or takeaways that they want to talk about?
My only thing that I'll add is that shout out to you guys for toughing it out for what's been a crazy, crazy year. And I would also say, breathe easy, don't stress too much, because I know it could be an anxious time period, but I promise it all works out, and utilize your resources for sure, because there is a lot of help out there.
And I think I would just add, as much as sometimes we want to wish away this time that we've had over the past year during the pandemic, and we just can't wait to get to some more normalcy. Don't be in a rush to leave college yet, because those are some of the best years and some of the best connections. I'm still friends with a really close group of about eight ladies that we've been best friends since college. So enjoy your time, make the most of it, despite some of these challenges and setbacks.
Yeah, and I would just add kudos to all of you in these very difficult times. Being here is one step in, getting in the right direction to help set yourselves up for success.
I will add some hope for the future, that there's a lot of amazing opportunities and fun that happens after college as well. So just want to say, as you continue to learn and grow, that a lot of good things are ahead of you.
I'm sure this probably is kind of an obvious thing to say to people, especially with the organizations that have joined today. But if you do anything in your work career, try to always make sure you do it with kindness. I think that that's something that's actually, I've been telling a lot of candidates recently, that I think is underrated. I think that goes a long way in terms of like showing how professional you are and what kind of person you are in the workplace, but also even when you're just interviewing for jobs. So just remember to treat everybody with kindness and respect, no matter what opportunity you apply for. And I promise you that you're going to land yourself into a good company, especially if they value that. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. I don't see any last questions in the chat, so I just want to say thank you so much to all our amazing panelists again. Margaret, if you have any closing thoughts as well.
Yeah, since we have a few minutes, if it's okay with panelists, if you'd be willing to share one question that I realize might be really insightful for students who are interested, if you'd be willing to share just briefly a little bit about the hiring processes at your organization, since we have just a few minutes. And I realize for those of you who maybe have something else going on at 1 p.m., if you need to take off, absolutely understand that. But if you'd be willing to share, since we have the time, just wanted to provide the space to do that.
So as I shared the website address, I think the first step is to go onto our website to see all of our opportunities. We have a number of internships available for this summer, as well as full-time and part-time positions. And then from there, just reaching out to me, you can let me know that you met me on this panel. And then, we can talk about any positions that you're interested in. The hiring manager, takes a look at the resumes. We bring people in for interviews, and then actually what's called a panel interview, which, allows you to have an opportunity to talk with some other team members before making, the final decision to come on board. And we also have a lot of opportunities for volunteering, as well as skills-based volunteers. So maybe if you're not looking for a, specific career path or internship, but, want to come and learn a new skill or give, back with your skills that you have, you can definitely find some opportunity there as well.
Well, the spring is a really popular time in education because we have, some turnover, whether people are retiring or moving on. So I would say starting here in April, keep your eye on our website, sd129.org. We have an application process through a platform called AppleTrack. And then from there, it might look a little bit different depending on your role, what that process could look like. Sometimes round one is a Zoom interview. The next one might be a panel of other educators or other people in different roles who might sit in on that process. And then our school year starts, of course, middle of August. So we'd love to grow our family. So make sure to check it out.
So for City Year, you can head to cityyear.org and just kind of find out more information about us. But there's also an Apply Now link on there. And we actually have an application deadline coming up on April 16th. So definitely encourage you, if you are interested, to get that in. But once that happens and you do kind of request information or show interest, you would connect with me or one of our other recruiters, and we kind of walk you through the process. About 2 weeks after submitting your application, you'll be interviewed. And about 2 weeks after that, you get a hiring decision. And our positions start in August and run until June.
So AmeriCorps, this is pretty broad. You can see postings on the AmeriCorps website. I know even like with the organization Giving You Page that I work with, there's a couple of AmeriCorps postings on our volunteer portal that list some jobs. So if you find one, you apply, and then the organization you apply to is the one who kind of does that process so that you can get onboarded and go through the AmeriCorps trainings, et cetera. But I would say just don't be afraid to consider far away AmeriCorps Vista Service, whether it's out of state or far away. I think they have some international programs as well, but they do support some relocation fees. So if you're interested in relocating and doing some AmeriCorps service, I would say don't be afraid to try.
And I guess for our applicant system or our hiring process, usually the way it works for Open Sky Education is you would end up just submitting an application on our website. It's just openskyeducation.org/careers. Usually after that point, someone on our talent acquisition team, it would either be myself or one of my other two coworkers on the talent team, We'd be reaching out to you, getting you scheduled and getting you through phone interviews. And then after that, we usually have candidates complete a recorded video interview through our partners at Modern Hire, and then also a live video interview. So usually it's like usually a 3-step process. Usually the get an offer with our company.
Awesome. I think everyone shared there. Cool. Well, I just can't thank all of you enough, the panelists here today. I'm so happy we have this recorded. I'm very excited to share with students in the future moving forward. And to have all of your organizations and industries represented today is really helpful. So thanks all. And a reminder for the students who are on this call or maybe listening in the future, if you're interested in connecting with any of these folks or their organizations, you can either check in with me. I certainly can reach out to them on your behalf, as well as connecting with them in the ways that they mentioned. I think most of them are on Handshake, which, as you all are familiar with, students are platform for jobs and internship postings. And then, of course, since they all mentioned it, if you're interested in getting volunteer experience or service experience in the community, we do have our volunteer portal, as I'm sure Elizabeth is very familiar with, and I'll post that in the chat. So please get involved, and thanks all. I'm going to just stop the recording now.